Sadnam aloha, everyone. Welcome to the live stream, and thank you for your patience. I had a few things to get set up. So if you could leave your name and where you're logging in from, that would be great. And I'll get started here. Okay. Just make sure that this is good. And zoom out. There we go. Let's see if I can make this bigger. Okay. So today I want to talk about the shadow pattern of pride. It's a shadow pattern of pride. And you can see that it's coming off the ego right there, the 26. And it's going to make a channel. So this is the ego center here. Okay, that little pink triangle. And then it's the spleen on the other side. So 26, 44, that makes a channel. And that's the channel of the transmitter. So if people have this channel, often they can reach a wide audience with their message, whatever it is. A lot of musicians and celebrities, writers, famous writers have this channel. Okay, so the shadow is pride, and the gift is artfulness and invisibility. So the two flavors of the shadow, remember every shadow has two flavors, is boastful and manipulative. So I think we know about boastful, right? The boastful version is I'm the best, all about me, me, me. You know, you're having a discussion with them and it's like, well, enough about me. What do you think about me? You know, the boastful, they always have to be boasting. And then manipulative, that's the focus that I want to put on today for the live stream, because we're in it, right? This time that we're in right now is very manipulative. All the soul traps are out there for humanity right now, and I don't want people to get trapped, right? Basically, I don't want you to get trapped and tricked and deceived, right? We're so in this energy right now as we go into the Aquarian age of deception and illusion and right, and all of the trickery and the manipulation. So we're dealing with it on a collective level as a humanity, but we're also dealing with it as an individual too. So on the spiritual path, we will attract this energy to us. Okay, so I'm going to go into that, like what the spiritual purpose of it, because we're not victims. Okay, so I want to be able to move around. What's going on here? Okay, there we go. That's better because I want to move around. Okay, so we got to talk about power. Okay, power. So I love this image, right? I've used this in the shadow for compromise. So if you look at your energy, right, your energy frequency as a bucket, like water in a bucket. Okay, so filled up, when our power is filled to the brink, when we're in our power, when we've reclaimed our power, then the gifts come. And that means the spiritual gifts of being able to see through the illusion, see through the deception, less tricked, right? Less tricked by the Maya and what's out there, less tricked by people that are playing the role of the manipulator. Okay, but every time we get this like a hole punched in there, that's the manipulation. When we fall for the manipulation, this leaks. And our whole world is about getting more and more holes punched into the energy body of the human, right? So that we lead. So as that power goes down and diminishes and gets lower and lower, then our gifts go, right? Our spiritual gifts go, our spiritual protection goes, and we're at the mercy of ego, right? Mr. Wormtongue, he represents the ego in my illustrations. Okay, so our power goes down. This is who we're listening to. This is who we're taking advice from. This is the voice in our head that's not our voice that we were born with. We were all born with this foreign installation, you could call it, this ego. That's not you, right? So we're on the spiritual path. We have to really discern, who are we listening to? Are we listening to that voice in our head? Or are we listening to our intuition? Right? Okay. So where do I want to go with this next? So let's just go into this shadow pattern of pride. So this is using your personal willpower, because it's coming right off the ego, right here. This is a place of willpower. So it's believing, right? That I can cheat life using my ego and my personal willpower to go against divine law. And I'm going to land on top. These are the people always trying to they always got a scam going on, you know? They always have to be taking a shortcut, right, somewhere. The get rich quick schemes, right? That sort of thing. So this is the thinking, that when you're in the shadow pattern, this is what what you're listening, right? The ego is telling you like this. You can, I got away with something. Whenever you hear somebody like bragging and boastful about that, I got away with something, I tricked somebody, they're in this energy, this shadow pattern of pride. And the fear is being perceived as powerless by others. That's the deepest fear. Every shadow has a fear. And the belief is scarcity consciousness. There's not enough for everybody else, right? And nothing is going to come to me unless I go out and I take it. I grab it, right? Or I compete, and I have to compete with others. This is all the old, right? All these old patterns we have to let go of for the Aquarian age, because the ego is losing it's being dismantled actually for the Aquarian age, because it's not in the frequency of truth. So when you integrate the shadow, you're in touch with the deeper intention of everything I do and say. Everything you do and say, you're in touch with the deeper intention. So this is different than using your willpower, right? So this is a good thing to do, a good practice. Everything you do, or maybe you have an important conversation to have with somebody, it's like, just set your intention. Every time I get on this my YouTube channel, I'm setting an intention, and it's aligning myself, like for me, with my soul purpose. So the same thing with you is like just to align yourself with the deeper intention, and that's the soul purpose. Remember, I talked about this in the last video, that we're each seeded. We each have a seed, and it's being germinated inside of us and taking us into our destiny. So the intention is like aligning with the intention of that seed, right? To germinate and blossom. And then when you're in the gift of artfulness and visibility, you know how to connect to the person that's in front of you, right? And you can be a shapeshifter that can't be pinned down. And I'm really going to go more into this, like the gift of this, that in your playful, and your thymus gland ignites the higher frequencies of the pineal gland. And the pineal gland is like that big antenna that connects you to other realms of existence, other higher frequencies, right? Okay. So let's go into just manipulation, just the mundane. So manipulation is basically it's a way of getting your needs met. We all learned this when we were children. You've got the children that do the crocodile tears, right, to get what they want, to stay up late at night, stay and not go to bed at their bedtime. They'll fake cry, or What else do kids do? You know, with the big eyes, please, please, right? It's all real cute, right? It's all cute when they're little kids, but when it follows you into adulthood, then it morphs into this energy. So that's kind of the root of it. So we don't want to look at, you know, and I'm not all about the victim. I don't even like that word victim, because we're not victims. Is that we both, you know, when I go through this, you're going to notice like, oh, I do that. Sometimes I do that, or I did that in the past, right? So this is shadow work. It's not all about the master manipulator and he's the bad guy or she's the bad guy and I'm innocent. You know, it's like, no, we got to look at our own shadows that want to still play these games of manipulation, right? And then we'll look at the higher frequency of manipulation. I just want to look at the comments before we get going. Okay. So now I'm Kim and Lisa and Karen, New York. Jennifer, C.A. Patterson. Jen's got the 26. Right on. Bradley, Satnam from Oklahoma. Holland. And then conversations. Yeah. Bradley, I want to cry at everything. Yeah, and happy new moon. It's the new moon today, too. So this is a good time to set intentions, right? What you want to create for this new moon cycle. And if you haven't watched my video, be sure to watch that. It's all about the new moon. Okay, so this is the manipulation playbook. There's a lot more to add, but I just want to go into the basics. This shouldn't be a big surprise to anyone. So basically it's relating to the ego. So it's ego on ego, right? Manipulation, the shadow of manipulation. And it's about power games, playing power games. Remember, it's about this. It's about you losing your power and giving your power to someone else. This is the game, right? The Piscean age game, right? How can I get your power with the trickery? How can I get your power? How can I get you to give me your power? Because nobody can take your power from you. You have to give it to them, right? And it's about maintaining control, right? And it's a really emotional immaturity. And the manipulator's agenda is to keep you off center, right? And that means you're in the state of doubt and confusion and anxiety and worry, like walking on eggshells, right? And you don't trust your intuition. So that's the root of it, is ego relating to, you know, as soon as you're identified with your ego, you can be manipulated. That's just the way of it. The ego is very manipulative, you know? But the truth is you have everything you need inside you if you just align with your soul. So gaslighting, we heard of this, right? Gaslighting is dismissing the other person's experience. So the result is that the other person starts to question their reality. This is the doubt, right? The crazy making, you know? So people will, master manipulator would say, well, I didn't say that, even though they did, right? I didn't say that. They're lying straight out. Or, I don't feel like that. I don't feel like that. I don't have the same feelings as you do, even if they do, right? Because they don't want to seem powerless. That's their fear. So you want to bring it back. If you've ever had this gaslighting experience, is you want to bring it back to your own experience, because nobody can argue away your experience. So I always use this example. If you stub your toe, you know, and you're like, ow, that hurt, right? That really, really hurt that I stubbed my toe. You're in the experience of the pain of stubbing your toe. If somebody comes to you and says, you're not in pain, you're a big liar. What are you talking? You're hysterical. You're crazy, right? How can they, you know, it's ridiculous that they're saying that, because it's your experience. So you're able to say, no, this is my experience. So that's what you claim onto. This is my experience. Nobody can talk you out of your experience unless you let them, right? So you want to bring it when the crazy making, because remember, you're going to attract a manipulator. This is part of the spiritual, your spiritual development. It's a spiritual test, right? These people that you'll attract into your life. So you want to bring it back to your experience, because there's no argument there. It's like, no, this is my experience. This is my experience. Speak from I and me, and not trying to get that other person to validate your experience. Nobody can do that for you. Nobody can validate your experience for you. Ghosting. This is like getting the silent treatment from someone. This is another way that people manipulate other people. And what to do then is just walk away. They're telling you that they're not emotionally mature, right? They're emotionally immature, and for you to play this game of they're not talking to me and I'm going to do all these things to get them to talk to me, it's wasting your energy, right? Your power goes down whenever you play these games, right, with the manipulator. Another hole in the bucket, right? And your power is leaking, and this is all your spiritual energy and your gifts just depleting and leaking away, right? So remember, the spiritual journey right now in the Aquarian age is plugging up all those holes, and then you're not going to get trapped in a soul trap, as we transition into the great age of Aquarius, right? It's a soul harvest going on right now. So the ghosting, you don't want to play that. Just walk away. The other thing that manipulators do is they project guilt, right? I did this for you. I sacrificed this for you. Basically, you owe me, right? So it's projecting their own guilt onto you. So you want to go back to your intention. Go back to your intention. Well, I didn't ask you to do that for me. Like, go back to your own experience and your own, that wasn't my intention to take advantage of you, right? Maybe you should have asked me first if you wanted to do that for me or not make assumptions, right? So it's just like, it's about not, standing up for yourself, but not taking on what's not yours, right? So you want to go back to your intention. What was your intention? And then flattery, that's another thing from the manipulator playbook. And so these are the insincere compliments to make someone feel special, right? And this is what the ego, right, loves. You got to feel special. The ego loves that, right? So it's either inflated, I'm the most special of all the special people. I'm the most special. I'm the winner. I'm the top of the heap. Or I'm deflated, right? I'm the worst of the worst. I'm the worst of the heap. Still, you're special even when you're the worst. So it's the superior-inferior game that the manipulator plays, right? So you want to watch this, right? I notice that with people, they'll be flinging compliments at me. I ignore them at first, right? I just ignore them. And then when they start to continue, that's when you have to speak to the person, right? And you say, yeah, I don't really feel comfortable with you giving me so many compliments, and why are you giving me so many compliments? Maybe they're not even aware of what they're doing, right? These dynamics, these manipulation games, they go back to childhood, right? We learn these from our parents and how our parents relate to one another and relate to others, right? The neighbors and their friends and things like that. So, and you may have learned as a child, when I give compliments, then I get attention, right? I get attention from people, But if they're insincere, people that are awake are gonna see right through it, right? But this is the manipulation game, right? Because whoever they build up, pumping up like a balloon, you're so great, you're so special, right? Then the manipulator comes back. You're not so great. And right, starts pointing out the flaws, right? This is the game. And then what happens to that big balloon that the manipulator's built up? It's like, goes down, right? Deflates really, really quickly into that, into this. Oh, it's not coming up. right? So whatever goes up has to go down. So if you're identified with your ego and you're relying on that manipulator, oh, I finally feel good about myself. Well, it's the ego that's feeling. It's the ego that's feeling good, and it's a hit, right? It gets a hit. That's what it feels like. The ego gets like this hit of adrenaline, or I can't really. It's like a jolt, right? It's a jolt to the ego because it's getting fed. That can feel really good, right? So there you are. You're attached to that manipulator, to move, you know, pushing you around like up and down like a yo-yo. You're on this emotional roller coaster. So can exploit your weaknesses and insecurities, you know? So points out your flaws, right? Which basically you need me to feel good, right? So it's like an addiction. It can become an addiction, this up and down emotional roller coaster, especially if you've been depressed, you know? And manipulators can it's like a heat-seeking missile, right? They can totally find those people that have a low self-esteem, right? Because they know how to work them, right? They totally know how to work them. So when this exploitation of weaknesses and insecurities, and it starts, right? You're going to nip it right in the bud when somebody's pointing out a flaw. It's like, thanks for your feedback, right? I know my flaws. I don't need you to point them out to me, right? Just refuse to listen to them. And then conflict, right? The manipulator needs conflict. And, right, this can even be like raising their voice, talking over you, like your voice doesn't matter at all. And this is don't bite the bait. It's like you're a little fishy, right? Just swimming in the sea, doing your own thing, and then comes the fishing rod. That's the manipulator with the little hook, right? And the fish has to bite the hook. So don't bite the bait, right? You can feel it. The ego will want to get in there. I want to get the last word in. I have to be right. I've got to give them a piece of my mind. You've got to have your ego on a tight leash. Don't bite the bait, because then you're in, right? And then you're in this dynamic, and it's difficult to get out of when these habits start in relationships, right? Okay. Okay. Okay, there we go. So that's the playbook for manipulation. So I mean, just full disclosure for me, like before I committed to my spiritual journey, and as you go further down the road in your spiritual journey, there's cleanup. There's cleanup that's involved, right? Polishing, and it's like looking back at those shadow patterns that have to be corrected. And people will show you. You'll have experiences, and so you don't want to be like pushing it away. You want to look at it. It's like, oh, this is a pattern for me. And what I noticed was this ghosting, right? That I mean, I wouldn't not reply to phone calls or messages and things, but this silent treatment, I remember doing that, withdrawing into myself and then giving someone the silent treatment, right? So I had to dig that. Oh, I did this when I was a child, because then my mother would come looking for me, right? What's the matter, right? Now we get attention. So I had to look at that, right, in myself. So we don't want to be like just pointing the finger that it's everybody else. And now I notice it. It's like, oh, this is my ego trying to manipulate the situation, trying to manipulate an outcome. And because what that does, it drains my energy. So on the other side, right? So it drains the manipulator's energy too, to play these games. Because you're relying on your ego for advice, right? So just look at it. There's no reason to feel guilt and shame. This is what the ego wants you to feel, is guilt and shame. And the ego wants to be perfect, right? That's why the manipulator won't apologize, right? Will never apologize because they don't want to be perceived as like they have no power, and that's a lie. So what's the spiritual purpose here is a spiritual test. Why we attract this type of energy to us. Why we're attracting that as a humanity right now. So you want to ask yourself, right, when are you going to surrender to the divine if you're still in these dynamics with these people? Right now we're going through huge shifts in our relationships. It's like musical chairs going on now. People leaving relationships, people going into different relationships, right? Because we're all evolving together. So you want to look at that. Do you have some kind of relationship where this dynamics is going on, and your relationship could be quite healthy in other ways, right? But you just have this little cleanup to do. You want to clean this up. Else it's just going to get bigger and bigger, and it's going to explode, and then you're going to have to deal with it. So this is our spiritual test. It's about our power, right? It's about our power and claiming our power as being authentic and in being in truth, and not afraid to look at your shadows, not afraid to look at your emotional wounds from your past and your childhood, right? And not afraid to move on, right? It's time to move on if you're in these relationships, you know? That person is, what was I going to say about that? I thought I had another slide, just a sec, where I wrote some more things down. I don't think I have it. I think I'll remember. Because the spiritual test is when you're moving forward. So no matter what situation you find yourself in, like what dark closet that you're in right now, and it feels like I'm trapped and I can't get out of this relationship dynamic, you need to connect to the divine for one thing. But if you're in this energy of manipulation and you're in this game and it's like I can't get out of this game, then you need to remove yourself from that frequency, number one. Get yourself into nature where you can really feel yourself and really attune to your own intuitive guidance. Because if you're in the manipulation frequency, then you're just surrounded by ego. It's like all around you, right? You can't hear yourself. That's why the crazy making with the manipulator, because you're so out of touch with yourself, right? The manipulator needs you off center, always off center. Right, with the surprises, right? The surprises to keep you emotionally off balance. So I would say that to people, right? They need to get out of their environment. The manipulator wants you isolated, from others, and will start to badmouth, you know, your friends and your family and the people that you really trust. Else the manipulator will also go in and be Mr. Charming or Miss Charming to you know, if you go to your friends and start to talk about my relationship is really unhealthy and this is what happens with us, and well, the friends and family that got seduced by Mr. Charming and manipulated, well, what are you talking about? He's such a great guy, you know? This is what manipulators do, and then it's more crazy making. Maybe I'm not seeing it properly. Maybe I'm really, really off. Well, you got to trust your intuition. That's what's going to give you the truth, right? Your intuition is always going to tell you the truth. And so once you start to move forward, because you're being called to evolve and move out of that energy, because that energy is dragging you down in frequency, well, manipulator's going to come in because he or she's going to feel you moving away. And then suddenly he's like Mr. Perfect, right? Suddenly out of the blue, he's Mr. Perfect and he's giving you what you want. You want to let's get married. I've always loved you. And like everything is perfect, right? Again. And that's more crazy making for the mind, because the mind's trying to figure it out. Well, he was lashing out at me and telling me what a horrible person. Now he's like Mr. Perfect and he's love bombing me. Right? It's like this crazy making thing. Well, you want to listen to your intuition, because your intuition's going to be screaming, no, he's lying. He's manipulating you again. Like, get out now. You want to listen to your intuition, right? So even if somebody comes in to your life, like any really, wherever there's darkness, there's light, and God, the divine, will always send help to you, right? No matter what state you are in, you're going to get the life raft thrown at you somehow. There'll be some kind of person that enters your life that's about helping you, right? But if you're in the state of consciousness, lower state of consciousness, then everybody's out to manipulate you. You can't trust anybody, right? And then the manipulator, that's when the manipulator steps in, because he or she doesn't want you to let you go, right? The game is to keep you trapped. That's the soul trap, right? Is to keep you trapped. And that's playing this game, right? And losing all your power, right? So to gain your power is to start listening to your intuition, but more importantly, start acting on it, even like little baby steps, to move forward on your journey. So you want to surrender to the divine. This is the spiritual test. The manipulator's just showing you, right? Where are you making that manipulator God, right? Putting your relationship with God, putting that person in the middle of your relationship with God, right? So you want to make God God, right? And put the manipulator where they belong. They're just going to disappear when you finally get the message. That's their whole purpose. They have a soul contract with you. They're going to play this horrible role for you until you finally stand up and say, enough. I'm done with this. I've learned the lesson. I've learned everything that I can from this. This is not going to change. He or she will not change. It's time for me to walk out that door, right? And when you walk out the door, it's uncertainty, right? This is the faith. It's the leap of faith that you have to take. Everybody's got to take this leap of faith into the unknown, because you have to have the experience. You can't just listen to me or read a book or or watch some video on another video online about this. You have to have the experience. This is the age of experience, the Aquarian age, right? So you have to experience it, and then it's real for you. That's the lesson. It's the grand gesture, right? You have to make that grand gesture in this lifetime. You got to tell the universe that you're serious, right? I'm moving forward. I'm scared to death. I'm terrified. I'm like so moving out of my comfort zone. My self-esteem has been so bruised and battered from this relationship, right? But now it's time for me to start to heal and to trust that, right? So you want to surrender to the divine. You want to walk your spiritual path. This is the commitment to walk your spiritual path and to try something new. Right? That's a big one, to try something. The old ways aren't going to work anymore. It's going to get more and more painful, right? To try to cling on to these old ways of doing things, and standing up for yourself, right? Standing up for yourself. And you may think, well, I've got children. I have to stay for the children. That's a big fat excuse from the ego, right? The best thing you can do for your children is to stand up for yourself and to teach them, right, how to stand up for themselves. There's going to be that respect, right? That respect that they'll learn from you as a mother or father, because it happens both ways, right? It happens with, we've seen that, right? With the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp thing, right? It's on both sides, men and women. It moves beyond gender, the spiritual test that we're all in. And you want to listen to your intuition and heart, not your mind. It's crazy. That's how you get manipulated. As soon as you're identified with your mind and your ego, then you're open. It's open season for you to be manipulated and leaking your power. And then you want to listen, but more importantly, you want to act on your intuition and heart. Even little steps, right, will start to get the momentum, that energy moving. And then even if you're depressed, and I'm so depressed and I'm in despair, right, that nothing ever is going to change, even if you make one little baby step forward, that will start to recharge and revitalize you, because you're plugging the holes of the leaky bucket, right? So you're keeping your power. You're keeping your power. That's the game. You want to keep your power. You don't want to be giving your power away right now. And know that you alone hold the key to your prison cell. No white knight's going to come in and save you, right? There's no savior that's going to come in and save you. You've got to do this yourself. That's the point of it. It's you alone. You were born alone and you'll go alone, right? And also because a lot of people go into procrastination and postponement. Well, I'll do it when the children are grown, right? Or when I, come into some money, I'm promised money in a few years. I'll do it when. There's always a postponement, right? And that leaks your power. That's just leaking your power. What you have to do is realize that you're not alive forever. We're eternal souls, never born, never die. But these are time bound, right? Our existence in these physical bodies are time bound. You have a limited amount of time, right? So that's another way to keep yourself on your game. It's like, I'm not going to be alive forever. Do I want to be wasting another year, another 2 years, even another week in this situation, right? So it's like, you've got the key, right? You can open that prison cell. You're the one that's put yourself in there. That manipulator hasn't. You put yourself in that prison cell and you can get yourself out of it. And then you want to be present. This is really, really key. With the manipulators, you don't want to be up here in the mind, and the manipulator wants you up here to defend your point of view, to get into this conflict of logics and details, right? And needing to defend yourself. You want to be in your body, and you can be in both. You can be in your mind because you need your mind to communicate, but you're also in your body at the same time. So your awareness is also in the body. And you're aware of your feelings, right? If your solar plexus starts quivering, you can tell like you're leaking. That's the bucket. That's how you know the bucket's leaking, is when your solar plexus starts to quiver, right? And you start to feel a little bit angry. This is why it's important to be in your body, because you'll know exactly what's going on energetically. Otherwise, you're just leaking buckets. You're not even aware of it. You're leaking your energy to manipulator, right? So you want to be, that's key, is to be in your body, right? Be present in your body. Know what's going on in your body. Even if it means, can you just give me a moment, right? Just to tap into your body and know what's going on. And then you operate from there. You operate from that place, your body wisdom, and then you're not in this. Right? Because, right, worm tongue's talking to both parties. It's ego on ego, right? And you'll know when somebody's lying to you. When you start to get more and more aware of your body and your own energy, you can feel it when somebody's lying to you. You'll just stop feeling like yourself, right? And to trust your intuition, like 100%. That person's lying. They can talk till they're blue in the face and project. This is the thing that manipulators do. They're projecting what they're doing. So if they're cheating on you, then they're going to accuse you of cheating on them. This is the game. It's like, always go back. Like, what are they projecting on me? They're projecting that I'm being deceitful, I'm lying. That means they're being deceitful and lying, right? You'll know all of this, and your intuition will know it. And you won't need that person to validate it for you, because they never will. They're dishonest. They don't want to tell you the truth because they leak power. They're going to leak. It's a power game. That's all it is with the manipulator. It's about your power. Like, when are you going to stop giving your power away? And here's the big one, is to let go of self-importance. So self-importance is about invisibility. That's the city, the greatest gift here. And this means that the ego becomes invisible. That's what invisibility is. And the ego becomes invisible with one thing, right? And that's letting go of self-importance, right? So whatever the ego attaches to, whatever your roles are in life that you're attached to, or maybe you're attached to your material possessions or your money, or you're attached to your title, whatever your title is in life, whatever your job or your career is in life, right? That's the self-importance, right? So whenever that's attacked, and this is where a manipulator can get in, because the manipulator will sense where are you attached, where's your attachment, where is your ego invested, and then I'm going to attack that. I'm going to attack that area of your life. Like if you're maybe attached to being a really good mother, right? Then that's going to be the attack point. Oh, you're such a shitty mother. You should, if you were a good mother, you would have done this, right? Just those are the undermining attacks. That's the self-importance. This is what you have to let go of. And this is the invisibility, right? That I'm not attached to anything. And therefore I have nothing to defend when I'm not attached to anything, right? Doesn't matter to me. This is just a role that I'm playing. And I know this is difficult for mothers to hear, but you're just playing a role, you know, in this lifetime. You're helping raise this little flower, right, in the garden, but that little flower will go off on its own, his or her own eventually. They're just roles. So you've got to watch where your ego is invested. So you can see how a manipulator can really serve you, you know, because he's going to show you where your ego investment is. So use it. Use everything in your life to grow and evolve and develop as a soul. You know, you can use that. Oh, it's showing me that I'm invested in this. Right? In this part, it's showing me my ego is invested here. And I've got to let go of this self-importance. And that's the invisibility, right? Pride wants to be visible. That's what the shadow of pride is. It has to be visible. The ego has to be visible, has to be special, right? Has to be special. And then the artfulness, that's actually using, this is the spiritual warrior way, this artfulness, is to know your manipulator, right? To know that manipulator. Because the manipulator is going to show you who they are with their boasting and I'm great and this and this and this and that. You just take it all in. You can just take it all in. And artfulness is to use it against them, right? When you need to. Not from like an ego place, but from a place of your spiritual identity, right? You can use that. I'm thinking of my own story about that, using artfulness was last time I had a job back in 2005. I was a creative director, like working in the arts, right? We had to do grant writing, and anyone who's done that, the grant writing for the government for funding is so tedious, right? Long tombs you've had to write. And I knew that community really well, right? Because I went to art school too. And it can get quite pretentious, right? No offense to the artists out there, but right, the artist statements can get so pretentious and they don't really make any sense. So what I did this time, it was like, I'm just going to have fun with this, right? With this grant writing and not taking it seriously. But I'm going to feed their self-importance. I'm going to feed their self-importance, right? These artists that judge these grants, right? So I got all the words and write all the art words and contextualize and juxtaposition and all those art words that they use, pretentious art words. And I just made a big word salad out of it. That's what I did, just for fun, a big word salad. And I remember reading what I wrote, and I was so playful, right? Because this gift is about being playful. And I remember reading it, and it was like, wow, it's so, I could have reduced the 10 pages that I wrote probably in a paragraph, right? And it would have been succinct, but I knew they didn't want that. So it was like really embroidered, like the huge tossing of the word salad. And then we sent it off, right? And we got it back, and we got like, I think $25,000 more than we've ever gotten. And I know it was because of this writing, right? So it's like feeding the self-importance of the ego, because that's what they wanted. Like how special we are, right? Artists. And anyway, so that's like a gift. That would be like an example of the gift of artfulness. It's like using it. You can use it. You're not attached to it. You're playful with it. So you can do that with the manipulator too, to get what you want, whatever you want, whatever you need. It is life, like Brandy said, life is a game. It sure is. And we can't take it so seriously, especially now, you know, because this, the ego doesn't like that. It's only funny when it's like hurting somebody or it's cruel. Then it's funny, right, to the ego. But it is like a game. Brandy, right? Brandy gets it then, right? You know what it is. Grant writer for nonprofits. Okay. Okay. Okay, you guys are just chatting here. That's good. So I'll do some cards while we're here. Yeah, Kirtan Kriya is good. You know what, with the cutting of the cords, it's about a soul contract that you have with people. I've tried this before, like cutting cords with people, and it doesn't work. You know, when you separate is when the karma is paid. Right? Tick. Paid in full. Your karma is paid with that other person. That's when it happens. And even if you do separate from that person, you'll just attract another person just like them with the same lessons, with the same dynamics. So if you're in this, like just like give yourself kudos that, oh, I've attracted this big kahuna manipulator in my life because I'm ready to go to the next step on my journey, you know? And gaining more and more power with every karmic relationship that I learn from. So you want to be learning from these people, like not blaming and it's, I'm a victim. It's like, no, you're not a victim. You're a powerful spiritual being moving through your evolutionary stages. And who knows, you may have lost this lesson many, many times, failed this lesson many, many lifetimes, right? The more intense it is, and the more constricted you feel, and the more fearful and terror-ridden you are, that's a really good sign that this is a powerful spiritual test for you, right? Yeah. Okay. Let's do some cards for the people that are here in manipulation. And so we can see this out on the mainstream news too, right? We're being manipulated emotionally, right? Through guilt. Guilt's a big one that they manipulate humans with, and the manipulators. The children. And you can't see, right? When you're in this, and your bucket is low and leaking, you can't see. You're not unable to see the truth, right? You're seeing through, you know, worm tongue's eyes. That's who you're seeing. Worm tongue's telling you exactly what you're supposed to be seeing, you know, which isn't the truth. Okay, what's the card for the people listening for manipulation? So the 26 too is about, I mean, the mundane. It's about marketing, right? So if your consciousness is aligned with the truth, the capital T truth, and doing your spiritual work and wanting others like sincerely to do their spiritual work, then you can, this is a real gift for you, right? It's marketing. It's using those tools against them in a sense, right? The manipulation tools against them, but for good. Not to liberate humanity, right? Not enslave humanity. Okay. So what's the card for the people that are listening about manipulation? What's the card? This one. Okay. Oh. So it's fear. That's a big one. So fear is just a frequency, right? It's just a frequency that's moving through you. Where we get in trouble with the frequency of fear is when the mind kicks in and then starts to create a story about it, you know? So let's say you are in one of these a relationship with a manipulator, master manipulator, karmic relationship, and there's a lot of fear that comes up, right? About maybe leaving or confronting that manipulator. Well, you can't go into the story, right? Stay out of the story. Stay out of the story and just stay with the frequency. And the frequency just wants to move through you. But as soon as you get caught up in the story, because that frequency is helping to create those thoughts, it keeps the frequency of fear still in your body. It doesn't get rid of it. Like, you have to feel your fear to move forward. There's no ands, ifs, or buts with that. It's like, no, we've got to face our fears, our deepest fears. And if you've had past life karma with a manipulator from past lives, that can bring up deep, deep fear from your unconscious, right? Okay, what's the card here for fear here for the clarification? And it's uncomfortable, right, to feel fear. But it goes. It's helping you, right? The fear is keeping your power away from you. Okay, what's underneath this fear? Okay. So fear, yeah, so it's about feeling fear. A good, easy meditation to do is to take the sun finger, right? That's your ring finger of your left hand. And then wrap your fingers of your right hand around your ring finger and just nuzzle your, right? Make a little, I guess, yeah, just nuzzle the left hand around your right hand like this. And you just bring that to your heart center. And then you chant Rama, Rama Dasa Sa Se So Hung. Rama Dasa Sa Se So Hung. And this brings comfort to you, right? It brings comfort to the heart, and it helps move that fear. You could do long, deep breathing too. That helps it. But to stay present with it, stay present with the frequency of fear, and to remind yourself that you're much bigger than this frequency of fear, right? And when that fear moves, then you're going to move, right? You're going to feel fear when you start to confront and start to move forward in your life on your spiritual journey. It's just a must, right? And then you've got the Two of Cups. That's all about love. This is about your relationships, right? So this manipulation could be keeping you from your true relationship, right? Your soul ally. Because remember with the, we've got the 44 on the other side, right? These are connected. And remember the 26 also goes with the 45. This is the shadow of domination. Domination and pride together. Manipulation and domination, about keeping you down, right? Keeping you lower, keeping you inferior. These two work together. When you're in the shadow of pride, in manipulation, you're also in the shadow of domination, being dominated, or you dominate others. And then the channel 44 is the shadow of interference. So when you're in this shadow of manipulation, and you can say, well, Michael, it's them. They're the manipulator. I'm the victim. It's like, no, it takes two to slam dance. That means you're part of this frequency too. You're just on the other side of the coin, right? As soon as you drop the coin, drop the script, I'm not playing this game anymore. I'm not giving my power over to you anymore. I'm finally going to move forward on my spiritual journey. Then it all ends. you're out of this frequency, right? Then you move out of this frequency. But it takes this letting go of the ego, right? This is so connected to the ego. It's coming right off of the ego. But there's interference. This is about your soul allies, the 44, right? So when you're in the shadow of manipulation, you're sending out an interference frequency. You're keeping those people that are destined to help and support you, destined to be with you, to help you to do your soul purpose, right? Your highest and best self. The ones that don't want to manipulate you, right? They want to serve you and you want to serve them. You want to help each other, right? But when you're in this manipulation, you're just going to keep attracting the same people over and over and over again that will show you the shadow, right, of manipulation. And then you got the Two of Cups. Everybody wants the Two of Cups in the tarot reading. This is the soulmate. Two of Cups is the soulmate. So the fear, the frequency of fear, and stubbornly, like being stubborn about, I'm going to change this manipulator. I'm going to get back at him because the ego wants to get back too. He's got to pay for how he's made me feel, right? I'm going to make him pay. I'm going to get back at him. Well, it's keeping all this away from you, right? And the only thing that's keeping you from the Two of Cups is fear, right? Fear of moving forward, whatever your fears are, that you have to face. But they're going back to childhood too. These go way, way back, these fear patterns. You may have had a parent, a grandparent that refused to go forward on their spiritual journey, stayed in these toxic karmic relationships, knew what they had to do, but they decided to stay. That's another thing that we have to realize too. We're doing so much healing for our ancestors. Yeah. Okay, so let's see what the gift is. I mean, that's a pretty big gift too. It's the Two of Cups. That's a healthy relationship. No games. There's no need, right? This is the new Aquarian relationships, I feel, are the Two of Cups. It's not about taking someone else's power, that I feel I'm better than you and I'm going to take your power and you're going to give me your power, right? That both are two full buckets, right? That both are powerful in their own right. They don't need to play the games. They have a connection to their own divinity, right? The manipulator doesn't feel like he or she has a connection, right? It's all about scarcity consciousness, not having enough money, not having enough love, not having enough attention, not having enough whatever, right? Not having a connection with the divine. That's what we want. Okay. What's the gift here? What's the gift here? Where's the gift? I can't see. Oh, good one. It's one of the sutras for the Aquarian age. So there's a way through every block, and I did a video on this. There's a way through every block. So this is about feeling trapped, right? And the shadow of manipulation is to commit. This is about committing to this truth, right? For the Aquarian age, there's a way through every block. So go into, this is how fear can stop us too, is the mind will want the whole picture. Well, what's going to happen when I do this? And then I'll have to do that. And then I'll have to do that. And then all of a sudden you're paralyzed because it's too much all at once. The mind can't figure it all out. We can't go to the mind anymore to make our decisions. All we can do is one step at a time and to trust that the path will be revealed to us by the divine, right? The support of the divine. So there's a way through every block. You've got to use this each and every moment. Okay, I'm feeling really, really trapped. But Michael said there's a key. I have the key. It's like, okay, I'm going to surrender to the divine. And there's a way through every block. Where is it now? right? Where's the energy now, right? And then you just make step by step by step. And then suddenly you're out of it, right? You're expanded. You have your power back. So to remember that there's a way through every block. But you've got to stop, not be in the mind, and listening to your intuition. Your intuition's going to guide you, right? Exactly what you have to do. Even what you have to say. Maybe you're scared to confront this manipulator in your life. But set your intention, that magic word, intention. Okay, there's a way through every block. I'm ready to pass the spiritual test. Please be with me, right? Please be with me, divine. Like bring me the words, what I have to say, and to confront this manipulator, right now. And it will come. All of it will come, right? There's a way through every block. So this feels like it's about relationships, a lot about relationships for people. Of course, it would be. Okay. Yeah. Yes, Neptune is going into retrograde soon. What's Sparky saying about butterflies? Are you talking about the solar plexus? Okay. 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 Satnam Tulabeen. Yeah, that's right. Shireen, different people, worse lessons. That right. That message gets louder and louder. And out comes the 2x4 until we finally get the lesson, right? Yeah, until we learn. Okay. Oh, Rama Dasa Sa Se Sohang. Rama Dasa Sa Se Sohang is the mantra. I got to get these meditations up. I got to get my to-do list out. That's what I'm going to do for my new moon ritual. And I always clean my sheets and stuff too. That's how I keep track of my bedding. Washing it on the moons. Okay. So, thank you everybody for attending. And I hope that's really helpful, because we can't get trapped right now. I really feel that the soul traps are huge right now. But the more you get your power back, the more you take your power back and you refuse to give it away. It's like get your popcorn, right? This is quite the show that we're in right now, to watch what's going on in the world with a sense of humor, right? But also compassion for people and what they're going through. But remember, we're not victims. Like, everybody is in the perfect experience for them, for their soul purpose, right? And if you talk to people that have been in like karmic, toxic, manipulative relationships and they're out of it, some of them are saying that was the best thing that ever happened to me, was to be in that relationship. I grew so much through that relationship, right? And of course they would never go back to it, right? But to look at it like that, like, use everything, every single thing, every challenge in your life as an opportunity to grow and evolve, because it's there for a reason. Right? And if it seems impossible, there's a way through every block. And sometimes we need to the soul has to create these huge obstacles to show you how strong you are, right? So that you can really dig deep into that strength, right, of character that's already inside you. So you have the experience. It's all about having the experience of your greatness in this lifetime, Okay, so have a great day or evening wherever you are in the world, and enjoy the new moon and start to set your intentions. Remember, don't act on them quite yet, but this time is about just setting your intentions for this new cycle. Okay, so Satnam Aloha.